Sins of the father. Gosh, okay, I need to get this out, this secret burning a hole inside me. I never thought. I never imagined myself here. But here I am, pouring my heart out like this. Names changed, obviously. Can't have anyone figuring this out. Let's call me Emma. Just a small-town girl, 19, petite, studying to be a nurse. Grew up on the fringes of this fancy country club place, the only one for miles. My folks weren't members, but sometimes got invites. That's where I first saw him. Evan. The lifeguard and the son of the owner of the club. Blonde hair like sunshine, muscles from football, just perfect. I was 14 and smitten. For years, I tried everything. Flimsy little bikinis, I remember this one, baby blue nylon, practically non-existent, dropping my towel right near his chair, bending over extra slow to pick it up. Once, I even crept towards the men's locker room, heart pounding like a drum, sheer terror mixed with this crazy hope, but I chickened out. He was always just nice. Friendly. Like I was his kid sister. It stung. Then, after high school, things changed. My body filled out, curves where there were angles. Nursing school kept me local, so I went to the club pool more. Suddenly, Evan noticed. Really noticed. We started dating. He was sweet, attentive, good-looking as ever. I should have been happy. Truly. He adored me. But then, everything changed. One awful night. My friend's birthday. She had too many drinks, me too, my first time, honestly, felt dizzy and strange. I told her I would drive her home in her car, responsible me, but pulling out of the gas station, panic. Hit the gas instead of the brake. Slammed right into a pump. Gas everywhere, a huge mess. The owner was screaming, cops flashing lights, handcuffs. I was frozen. My parents? They couldn't afford this. Nursing school? Gone. I felt sick. Then this big, beautiful blue Cadillac pulled up looking for a fill-up. Smooth. Out stepped Mr. Simon. Evan's dad. I'd never properly met him. Handsome, older, rugged in this perfect charcoal gray wool suit, crisp white shirt. Power just radiated off him. He saw me, recognized me as Evan's girl, talked to the furious owner, low and calm. They discussed something in hushed voices, then the owner calmed right down, shook his hand like he was thanking him. The cops knew him, respected him. Turns out he donates to the law enforcement boosters. He just made it vanish somehow. They shook his hand too. It was amazing. I had never seen how these sorts of things worked, but I was getting a first-hand lesson. Mr. Simon got my wreck towed, drove me and my friend home. On the way, he told me it was all handled. My parents wouldn't know, no trouble. I was overwhelmed, shaky. This man, this power, it did something to me. Before I got out, I hugged him, kissed his cheek. It wasn't planned, just this surge of something. Gratitude mixed with this strange, hot pull. I asked how I could ever repay him. He said, "Cool as you like," one of his club hostesses quit. If I wanted the job, just follow the staff, learn the ropes. I agreed instantly. I got out of this bind and now I had a job at the club. It was a dream come true. Older men? Never looked twice before. Suddenly, I understood the attraction, why so many women adorn the arms of older men. Evan? My sweet, handsome Evan? He seemed empty. Just a pretty boy. The next week, Evan and I were out on a date and his kiss was not the same, it was again, empty. When he tried to feel my breasts over my cotton sundress in his car, I flinched away. Strangely, he got sweeter, more attentive in the days after that, which somehow made my skin crawl. All I could see was Mr. Simon. Working at the club, I watched Mr. Simon constantly. At the pool, his body still strong, powerfully built from his boxing days, I learned later. He'd built his whole empire, restaurants, construction, finally this club, from the ground up, they said, starting with nothing but those fists and his wits. That strength, that absolute control he had over everything and everyone around him, it fascinated me, pulled at me like a magnet. His connections, the way people snapped to attention when he walked into a room, the quiet confidence, gosh, it was the sexiest thing I'd ever witnessed. One afternoon, carrying fresh towels to the ladies' sauna, the men's door swung open as someone left. And there he was. Mr. Simon. Naked. Steam curling around him. And, gosh, even soft, he was impressive. Large. I couldn't look away. Stared like some shameless hussy until the door shut. That image, it haunted me. Tormented my mind. Each time I closed my eyes, I could see it again. That thing attached to his body. I couldn't explain it, but for some reason I thought it was beautiful. My fingers found their way under my cotton nightgown every night thinking about it. After that, I saw him everywhere. He barely acknowledged me beyond a curt nod, which only made the fascination worse, hotter. He saved my whole life, then acted like it was nothing, like flicking lint off his immaculate suit. One evening, late, after dinner service had ended and the club was quiet. I was heading out the staff entrance, my feet aching, when I saw his unmistakable figure walking purposefully towards the darkened pool area. An impulse, wild and reckless, took over. I don't know where this courage came from, maybe from all those nights alone in my room, but I ducked back into the empty ladies' locker room. My fingers fumbled as I changed quick out of my sensible hostess uniform, a knee-length navy skirt and white blouse, and into my most daring suit. This tiny pink one-piece angel suit, the top was cut low, held by thin, delicate strings, the bottom was cut impossibly high on the hip, leaving almost nothing to the imagination. The fabric felt cool and slick against my heated skin. I slipped silently into the cool, dark water of the main pool. He was already there, swimming powerful, rhythmic laps, cutting through the water like a shark. I started swimming too, feeling clumsy and slow beside his effortless strength. After a few lengths, my breath coming fast more from nerves than exertion, I pretended exhaustion, clinging to the edge and panting dramatically. He swam over immediately, concern etched on his face in the dim underwater lights. Asked if my heart was okay. Oh, it was pounding all right, but not from swimming, from him, from his nearness, from the sheer audacity of what I was doing. He touched my arm, just above the water, his fingers warm and strong. I shivered, a jolt of pure electricity shooting straight through me, settling low and hot. His eyes, they raked over me in that skimpy pink suit, dark and knowing, lingering on the swell of my breasts above the waterline. He asked, his voice a low rumble, if I fancied the steam to warm up. I nodded, mute, my throat tight. He suggested the men's sauna, empty now, he assured me, nobody would be checking. So I followed him, water dripping from my suit, my heart hammering against my ribs. This is what I wanted, right? This is why I came back to the pool. But why was I trembling with fear, and something else, something liquid and urgent? Inside the men's sauna, the heat hit me like a physical wall, thick and humid, scented with cedar. It wrapped around us, stealing my breath. We sat on the upper wooden bench, towels beneath us. He talked. Told stories, about his boxing days, the thrill of the fight, the discipline, about shrewd investments, building his world brick by brick. I hung on every word, mesmerized by the deep cadence of his voice, the way the muscles moved in his bare chest. My towel? It slipped deliberately, I admit it, pooling around my waist, leaving my torso bare in the dim, steamy light. His gaze grew hotter, more intense, glancing openly over my breasts, the hard points of my nipples visible even through the damp nylon. He wasn't hiding it at all. His eyes were undressing me, and I felt it, a flush spreading across my chest and up my neck. I saw it then, beneath his own towel tenting noticeably, the hardening length pressing insistently against the terry cloth. He shifted closer on the smooth bench. Our bare arms touched. Sparks. Electric currents zinging through my skin. I started to get so wet down there. His hardness grew more obvious, straining against the fabric. He leaned in, so close I could feel the heat radiating from his skin, smell the clean sweat and cedar. Gently, commandingly, he cupped my chin, tilting my face up. Then he kissed me. Not sweet like Evan. Deep. Commanding. Possessive. His tongue exploring my mouth, claiming it. My head swam, this was so wrong. My boyfriend's father, and yet, I kissed him back, my lips parting willingly, my own tongue shyly meeting his. I was enjoying it. In fact, I had practically made it happen. I couldn't believe myself, guilt warring with a fierce, building heat inside me. It was so dirty, something a cheap hussy would do. His hand reached over, so slowly it was agonizing, and pulled the thin string at the top of my suit, sliding it off my shoulder. He did the same with the other string. The top fell away, exposing my breasts completely to the steamy air and his hungry gaze. I sat there frozen, my body didn't know what to do, but I could feel the wetness pooling inside me, soaking the suit's bottom, and the heat. I thought I would burn up right there. My head was getting dizzy from the steam and the intensity. Then his big, powerful hand gripped my waist firmly and drew me closer to him on the bench, until our thighs touched. His mouth left mine and explored, everywhere. My neck, nibbling gently, sending shivers down my spine. My collarbone, tracing it with his lips. Lower, taking a nipple into his warm, wet mouth, sucking so gently at first, then more firmly, his tongue flicking slowly over the sensitive peak. I gasped, a sharp intake of breath, and then moaned, the sound escaping me before I could stop it. It felt so incredibly good, waves of pleasure radiating from his mouth down to my core. He guided my trembling hand under his towel. My fingers brushed against hot, hard flesh. I was amazed at the feeling of it. It was like a hard metal rod covered in the softest velvet, pulsing with heat. I had never touched someone's thing before, and my first time doing it was my own boyfriend's father, a man I was utterly obsessed with. The contradictions in my head were making my head spin. I drove the thoughts away, pushed them out, and just said to hell with it. I let his will take over completely. He showed me how to stroke him, firm and slow, my hand moving along his impressive length. My grip was soft at first, unsure, but as he murmured encouragement, I squeezed harder, feeling the incredible hardness, the blood coursing through it. It was so thick and hot in my hand. It felt powerful, alive, yet my own hand was trembling. He groaned, a low, deep rumble that vibrated through me, making my insides clench. Emboldened, I stroked more, increasing the speed, my fingers exploring the smooth, rounded tip. He closed his eyes and threw his head back, a look of pure pleasure on his face. It seemed I had found some kind of secret spot, a hidden wellspring of pleasure that my hands were unleashing. It got me excited, oh so wet down there, a throbbing ache building between my legs. I felt a rush of fierce satisfaction in my chest. I was pleasing him, he was pleased with me. I stroked harder, faster. Gripping him as firmly as I dared, going faster and faster. He made more deep grunts, his breathing becoming ragged. It was amazing, intoxicating, this power I seemed to have over this powerful man. Then he held his breath, his body tensing, his hand clamping over mine on him, and then, a geyser erupted, streams of warm, thick liquid shot straight up, grazing the right side of my face. More hit the side of my mouth. It happened so fast and I never knew something came out of a man when he did his thing. More came out in powerful spurts and I let it happen, fascinated, then it subsided, turning into short bursts. It looked like warm cream coating my hand, it was so slick, so I used it to stroke his member slowly, gently now. He sighed deeply, approving of this, his body relaxing. His hand went to the back of my head, fingers tangling in my ponytail, gripping firmly but not painfully. He then commanded, his voice thick with satisfaction, "Put your mouth on it and swallow what comes out." Swallow? I couldn't believe what he was saying. It sounded so dirty, so forbidden. But I was so hopped up with this intense, dirty energy he'd created, my mind clouded with need and submission. Almost without conscious thought, I found my mouth lowering over his thick manhood, still semi-hard and slick. I took him in, the taste flooding my senses, salty, musky, utterly unfamiliar. It was so bitter, so weird. I had no idea what I was tasting, but for some reason, this overwhelming desire to obey him, to please him completely, took over. My mouth seemed to have a mind of its own, working gently, sucking softly, swallowing until the strange flavor disappeared from my tongue. He held me there, his hand gentle on my head now, until I could feel the hardness subside completely under my lips, and I sat up, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand, feeling dazed. He drew my head onto his broad, hairy chest and held me close, my bare breasts pressed against him. I closed my eyes, accepting his affection, this strange intimacy. He stroked my back gently, softly, like you would soothe a baby. I felt so amazing, so cherished, to be appreciated by this man, my first real man, the first one to, well you know, to take me to that place. We spent time just holding each other in the fading heat, talking softly, and we took turns rubbing each other down with the rough towels, his big, powerful hands exploring my naked body in the steam, tracing my curves, cupping my bottom, learning me. It was the most wonderful, intense evening of my entire life thus far. I would never forget a single detail. The next few days were pure torture. Sneaking glances across the dining room as I served, charged moments passing each other in empty hallways, that electric current crackling between us, invisible but undeniable. Couldn't be open, obviously. Every look felt dangerous, thrilling. Another evening swim opportunity arose a week later, long after closing time. This time I wore another one-piece I'd bought special, fire engine red silk, the fabric smooth and slippery against my skin, even skimpier than the pink one. The top barely contained me, the bottoms riding high. It was a tad tight so that the folds of my slit were visible in the mirror. I wore a ponytail tied with a red ribbon. We met in the secluded spa pool this time, the warm, bubbling water swirling around us in the dimly lit grotto. He was already hard, I could see the outline pressing against his swim trunks, when I slid close through the water. Without a word, he pulled my mouth into his and he kissed me possessively, passionately, moving my body like I was a tiny doll. He was already pulling down the straps of my suit and my taut nipples brushed against the hairs on his chest and they tickled me. I was getting so wet already and I couldn't believe the girl that I had become, such a girl, such a hussy. Then straight onto his lap, right there in the swirling water. I sat on his hard pole and ground my hips against it by instinct. I asked myself how could I know how to do this? Where was this coming from? His hands grabbed my hips and pulled me off of him, standing me up, exposing my breasts above the water. He pulled my suit completely off of me and the warm bubbles tickled my entire naked body. He pulled his trunks down under the water as well and we met with a kiss again, him pulling my buttocks onto him. I straddled him again, grinding against his pole with a purpose. Even underwater I could feel my lubrication, coating his rod up and down and it pulsed up and down against my wet pedals. My insides felt like they were opening up for what was to come, but I didn't know what was to come. I had never gone this far before with a man, with anyone. How did my body know? It seemed it had a mind of its own. Then suddenly I rocked my hips backwards too far then forward again and the tip of his manhood penetrated my entrance and it pushed in an inch. I froze, the pain shooting inside me. I yelped, then I cupped my mouth immediately, crushing the noise. His eyes were piercing mine, with a knowing stare. He advanced a bit further and I screamed again into my hand. Out again and in again, a bit further each time. I was gushing with wetness but also with pain. I could feel the thickness with each advance and I was in awe of myself being able to hold this monster inside me. He brought my body against his and held it tightly, now each tiny movement made it advance further inside. I was panting and trying not to scream, and eventually was inside me, fully inside filling me up. I felt stretched out and I could feel a slight scent of a metallic smell, one of blood in the water. At the time I didn't understand where this was coming from but now I know better. We kissed passionately for a minute, and he consumed my neck, the tickling sensation melting into a buzz in my insides. My head was spinning and I was seeing shooting stars even with my eyes closed. It was sublime, such a possessed feeling, the feeling of being impaled by this rod inside me and me not being able to move, my body open to his mouth's exploration. He pulled me up and out, then he guided himself into me again, this time with less pain, his hardness parting my folds so wide I felt I was being torn apart. Oh, the feeling, incredible. Stretching, filling me completely. He moved me, up and down on his lap, his strong hands gripping my hips firmly, setting the pace. The warm water lapped around us, his low groans vibrated against my ear, the sheer forbidden thrill of it, out in the open yet hidden, it was overwhelming. I started to say silly things like, "Please no, Mr. Simon, don't do this." It was silly because I didn't want it to stop. "Please no, Mr. Simon, please don't take me like this." I continued, but he didn't listen, he kept bobbing me up and down on his thing like I weighed nothing, his strokes getting longer. I was lifted so high my torso leaving the water, yet he was still connected to me, guiding me down for the downstroke where he filled me up so completely, my head felt like it was going to pop like a balloon. Then the pressure, an ache started to rise inside of me. The pleasure was overwhelming, I said again, "Please no, Mr. Simon, not like this, please no." My words made the aching turning into a pressure so tight inside me I felt like I was going to pop, and I did. Suddenly and with a hail of pleasure, hitting the back of my head first, then shooting down my spine to my toes. I shuddered and convulsed. I didn't know at the time what was happening, but it just kept hitting me. Wave after wave of pleasure until it slowed down and I slumped over him, arms wrapped around his neck, his tongue licking my ear. It was amazing and intense, soft and hard, it was incredible. He then started to guide me up and down again, now the water was sloshing around the spa, we were causing bigger waves. I was still lubricating and it felt so slick as I slid up and down his pole, he was breathing faster now, and he grunted as he climaxed inside me so deep, I could feel the hammer hitting my insides, striking me in a place so deep I didn't know existed. He kept me still as he pumped his seed into me over and over. He sighed and he held me so close again, our bodies fusing into one. I had pleased him and it made me feel so satisfied. This powerful man. I had his seed inside of me and it somehow made me feel complete, like it was a serum that infected my mind, making me feel good to submit to him, to his powerful will. All I wanted to do was please him and I could feel my heart falling into the abyss, a feeling of fear and love at the same time. Afterwards, guilt gnawed at me, sharp and persistent. The thought of Evan. I held him tighter, so tight to make the image of Evan go away. The next day, I went on that stupid drive-in date with Evan he'd been pestering me about. Some silly comedy playing on the big screen, the tinny sound coming through the speaker hooked on the window. In his car, his hand crept up my thigh, under the full-circle skirt of my floral print dress, its stiff crinoline petticoat rustling. His fingers fumbled clumsily towards the cotton of my white panties. Revulsion shot through me. I shoved his hand away hard. "Don't." I snapped, my voice sharper than I intended. "Don't touch me." The hurt, confused look on his face. I just couldn't bear it, couldn't bear his hands on me for some reason. I knew that I needed to keep up appearances, but I just couldn't do it. I got out of the car right then, slammed the door, and walked straight to the bus stop, not caring about the movie. He followed me and we argued for another hour. I gave him some foolish excuse about how I was raised as a good Christian girl and I didn't think of such dirty things. I felt a tinge of shame when I said that. Took the first bus back towards the club. Saw the light on in Mr. Simon's private office window. Without hesitation, I went straight in, tears streaming down my face, the guilt and confusion boiling over. I sobbed on his shoulder, breathing in his expensive cologne mixed with the faint scent of cigar smoke that clung to him. Told him everything. How Evan's touch repulsed me now. How I only wanted him. Only him. To please him. To offer my body only to him. To feel his control, his domination, completely. The truth poured out of me. His eyes, they changed as I spoke. Darkened. Intensified. He understood perfectly, the raw need in my voice. He stood, went to his walk-in closet without a word. Pulled out a silk tie, deep burgundy, just like the one he wore the night he saved me. said nothing. Just took my wrists, firmly, decisively, and tied them together behind my back. Not cruel, but absolute, inescapable. "Little dove," he murmured softly, bending me over his massive, polished oak desk. I was a little scared, but my hands being tied behind my back made me exhilarated. I was getting so wet, and it made me confused. How could this make me, so excited? My skirt was flipped up, and I could feel the cool air hitting my buttocks. His hands, exploring, finding my wetness over my cotton panties, he rubbed them knowingly. I moaned and I started to say those silly things again. "No, Mr. Simon, not here, not like this. Please, don't do this." Now I know that it was my body, responding directly to him, but the young girl that I once was, the mind of the young innocent girl, pleading for mercy, but it was too late now. His hands sliding slowly over my nylon stockings, tracing the line of the garter straps clipped to my girdle, up my bare thighs. More teasing, me moaning. Stroking over the fabric, feeling the wetness soaking through. Driving me wild with need, making me whimper into the cool wood of the desk. Then, he pulled the panties down to my ankles. I looked back at his face and he had a fire in his eyes. He was possessed. His hunger couldn't be contained. His need for me made me blush and I loved it. I could already feel the head of his manhood against my folds. Somehow he had freed it without me noticing. He pressed hard and it entered with a little snap and I screeched. He advanced the head through my wet folds and proceeded inch by inch, me squirming and protesting. The tight bonds on my wrists made me wriggle on his desk. I was helpless and couldn't move or go anywhere. He had complete control over my body and was going to do whatever he wished. And I wanted him to. Again, I said, "No, Mr. Simon, please don't, but this only emboldened him. He thrust deeper each time I said this, until he was fully submerged inside of me. He started his strokes, long and slow, and I could feel the ache inside me build up so much faster now. Each time I said those things, it got worse. "Please, Mr. Simon, please don't," and I was near my breaking point. His strokes were still so slow, but I popped all over him, my insides gripping him tightly. I shuddered and jacked my body up and down on the desk, the ties on my hands digging into my wrists. I screamed, so loud, and started to cry. The contrast of what I was saying and acting like, with the pleasure I was feeling, was miles apart. It was shattering my mind, my ego. He chuckled softly and continued with the longer strokes now. In and out I could feel the thickness coursing through me. He sped up and was like an animal now. I was building up another climax, when he grabbed me hard by my ponytail and jacked me to the floor. It was so harsh. I was on my knees and he was stroking his thing so hard, right near my face. I remembered how I pleased him before and I knew he wanted it to be in my mouth, so I moved my face closer. Then he stopped completely, frozen like a statue. For a moment, I didn't know what would happen, then it blew up, streams hitting my face and my eyes. I closed my eyes and then I felt the shaft push into my mouth and felt the streams of seed hitting my throat. I swallowed and swallowed like before, knowing he would be pleased. I still squirmed with defiance and made defiant noises, but what I was doing was the opposite, complete submission, being used by him in the most dirtiest and evil of ways. The flavor was better now, it didn't surprise me like last time, and it went down my throat easier. I lapped up every drop and consumed it like it was my medicine, like I needed it, and honestly I did. He slowed his breathing now and his back straightened again and he looked down at me with such happiness. I was totally in love now and I looked up at him like an attentive puppy dog, waiting for my master's next command. We held each other there in his office, on his plush leather couch for hours, cuddling and chatting. Him kissing my nose with sweet pecks, me laughing and gushing at his every word. I still said silly things like, "Do I please you, Mr. Simon?" to which he would nod. We were in such perfect bliss. "Well, where are we now?" He set me up proper. A modern apartment in the next town over, just a short drive away but far enough. Mine. Our secret place. Furnished very nicely with a gramophone and radio, a swimming pool and the complex, sauna and spa. Here, oh gosh, here I live my deepest, most secret fantasies. I serve him. Totally. His every whim, his every desire. He brings things, packages wrapped in plain paper. Silky black negligées with lace so fine it's like cobwebs, the fabric sheer and cool against my skin. Red satin corsets that lace tight, cinching my waist, pushing up my breasts until they ache. Stockings with seams he makes me line up perfectly on the backs of my legs, his fingers checking the straightness. He ties my wrists with soft velvet ropes behind my back or to the bedposts, blindfolds me with smooth silk scarves, plunging me into delicious darkness where only his touch and voice exist. We try every position imaginable, every act he craves, him teaching me, guiding me. On my knees before him on the plush rug. On my back in the big bed, my legs wrapped around him. Bent over the arm of the sofa or the kitchen table, he takes me how he wants, when he wants, hard and fast or slow and deliberate, always in control. And I crave it. The surrender. The feeling of being utterly possessed, owned. In return, he treats me like a precious thing. Gifts appear on the dresser, a strand of real pearls, cool and smooth, a buttery soft leather handbag, sparkling diamond earrings that catch the light. He takes me on road trips, hidden getaways to little inns where no one knows us. I'm his. His kept woman. His little dove. And you know the craziest part? I've never felt so fulfilled. So completely alive, every nerve ending singing. The shame? It's there, a little whisper sometimes in the quiet moments. What would people in my little town say if they knew? What about Evan, poor, sweet, oblivious Evan? But then he walks through the door of this secret apartment, that look in his eye, that raw power radiating from him, and all I want is to kneel at his feet. To submit. To belong to Mr. Simon, body and soul. Forever. It's wrong, maybe, by everyone else's standards. But oh, it feels so terribly, wonderfully right for me. This secret life, it's who I am now.